ANC's regional conference in Ekurhuleni has finally started. It's been marred by infighting and delays as some branch members demand to be registered so they can participate in the conference. It's finally underway. At the podium now is the provincial chairperson of the ANC, David Makhura. Let's listen in.
Continuously get elected, democratically given a mandate, fixed mandate. Every level of leadership you get elected once, and the next, if it's at a branch level, the next biennial branch general meeting may elect you again if they are happy with the work you have done. And if it's at a regional level, the next regional conference may elect you again. They may even elect you many, many times. Like I had the honor to be elected the secretary of the province many, many times. But it was not an entitlement. We must get this thing out of our heads. We are not entitled to be in leadership. We must earn our place in leadership out of the work we do amongst communities, the service to the people, but also out of the work we do to build the type of ANC that makes ordinary citizens in communities proud that that's the ANC we want to identify with. So it's fundamental to understand conferences have got their role and place in the organization. It is at conferences that we refresh the mandate of the leadership, but it is at conferences that we review the policies of our organization and review their impact, the impact of these policies on the lives of ordinary citizens. Are we achieving the kind of change we talk about in our strategy and tactics document? So this conference, therefore, should be run in accordance with the standards, traditions, policies, practices, and guidelines of the ANC. We have deployed not only PEC deployees here to ensure that the conference runs in accordance with the expectations of the ANC. We have also deployed our provincial treasurer. So we've deployed our provincial officials. Our provincial treasurer is here. I said to you, the PEC deployees are here. So in every conference of the ANC in our province this weekend, we have the provincial officials there. They work with the regional leadership, with the national leadership, first and foremost to make sure this is a true ANC conference. But let me tell you, comrades, when you walk around here, you can't think that this is a gathering of the ANC. It's like a war zone. This must make us ashamed as ANC members. The atmosphere and the environment around this conference is like a war zone. I see arms. I see the sort of things that happening around the vicinity of the conference. That says to me, this is not a conference of the ANC. We must be ashamed. Because a true conference of the ANC, first and foremost, we are here in accordance with the guidelines of the organization. So there are guidelines that must guide us. How do you get to a conference? Those guidelines are based on the constitution of the ANC. How does every branch get to a conference? That branch must have had its own conference as a branch. We call it a BBGM. Because in our province, I said to you, we had to declare 2022 the year of rebuilding structures. Because last year and the year before, 2020 and 2021, we were in the grip of COVID-19. The branches and the regions, it's not just in Gauteng, but across the country. COVID-19 made it difficult for us to operate normally. We had to find creative ways, new ways of organizing ourselves, new ways of doing campaigns, new ways of reaching out to people. I must also say, as I speak about COVID-19, we have also lost lots of our comrades. We have lost outstanding community members. We have lost in our branches at different levels of the organization. We have lost very exceptional people who were outstanding servants of the people of South Africa. We have lost patriots. But we said, even this year, we want to prioritize rebuilding our organization. Rebuilding, we said we want to do from branch level to regional level, and to culminate in a provincial conference. We want to rebuild these structures. And I want to come back to the fundamental question that showed a profound weakness in our organization. So we must gather here in accordance with the standards, the traditions, the practices, and the policies of the ANC. And what are those? I've already outlined some of them. First and foremost, we say an ANC conference must always be about the issues that affect communities from where you are coming from, and the people of Ekurhuleni. So the fundamental question that we must ask you, and which you must answer, is when this conference rises on Sunday, and this conference will rise on Sunday, you are not going to rise on Monday. This conference is not going to close on Monday. You rather not sleep to complete the business of this conference. When you rise on Monday, the fundamental question should not be, or the only question should not be, who are the people elected? The fundamental question should be, what are the decisions of the conference of Ekurhuleni as it pertains to us, the people of Tembisa? The people of Tembisa are concerned about, that's what they are concerned about. If you go to Davidton, the fundamental question for them is, if you are gathering this weekend, what is it you are going to discuss as it relates to their plight? The people of Katoras are asking the same questions. What is it that this conference of the ANC is going to bring to address the immediate plight of the communities in Ekurhuleni? And that is the reason the ANC places a premium. We place a huge price on policy discussions. We place a premium on discussions on strategy and tactics. Because this is about the change that the communities need. The change espoused, the aspirations in our democratic constitution. Those aspirations about the South Africa we want to build. The change our strategy and tactics articulate so clearly. The kind of life we would like each and every single South African to live. That's the first task of a conference of the ANC, is to review the progress and to review whether our policies are potent enough. Are these policies sharp enough to can take us to the kind of society we would like to be? So, and place fundamental change. The ANC has always been about not just a little bit of change here, some little bit of change there, and leave things as they are. Place the question of fundamental change at the center of the discussions of its own conference. Otherwise, that fundamental change is what we've always advocated, what we call radical socio-economic transformation. That's what the ANC seeks to do. That a conference of the ANC also reviews government performance. So where we are in government, how is government doing, and where we are not, how is government performance there? If we are in opposition, and we are in opposition in Ekurhuleni, we must remind you, as you burn the flames outside this hall and want to kill each other, we are in opposition in Ekurhuleni. The fundamental question of this conference must not be about our factions and our groupings, but how do we go back and regain ground? And how do we build the ANC in Ekurhuleni that will regain popular support, public confidence in Ekurhuleni? And a conference of the ANC also reviews international developments in our own continent. So what is happening in our continent? How does that threaten peace and development in our continent? What is it the ANC should do? You are not just meeting here as a region. You are part of a bigger organization. This bigger organization has a mission, and Africa is at the center of our mission to build a better world. We can only build a better world by rooting ourselves as the ANC, including ANC government, focusing on that mission of building a better Africa. So when we have answered these fundamental questions about the issues affecting our people, the policies we need to fine-tune, the actions and work of government, including work of the ANC, where the ANC is in opposition, to push the frontiers of change from opposition benches, to hold those who are in government, the coalition governments, to hold them accountable. When we discuss the budget, to place on the agenda of the municipal budget the issues from the townships, the issues from the communities we lead, to make sure those issues are the preoccupation of the municipalities. So when we do that, the second important question is, so we deal with that, and then we say, we need to achieve these objectives, to bring about this change. We need a dynamic organization. We need an ANC that's dynamic, vibrant, revived, renewed, an ANC that is in touch with people on the ground, and that leads them not just when it is in government, on every issue affecting communities. And there, when we look at organization, the state of organization, the kind of organization we are, and the type of organization we want to be, the renewal and rejuvenation of our movement, we seek to answer the fundamental question there. How do we raise the level and quality of organization, quality of membership, the quality of cadreship in the organization? How do we raise that level, the level of consciousness amongst our members, to ensure that the ANC is equal to the task? It is against that background that we discuss the leadership elections. So there's been lots of noise around here. When people who are at home, who are watching, the only thing they are hearing about the Ekurhuleni conference is the violence and the threats. And I must tell you, I saw the kind of weapons I haven't seen in an ANC conference. So, comrades, in that sense, we can't have an ANC conference like that. We should, let me say to you, we have a conference in Sidibeng right now. That conference, Sidibeng region had an RGC to discuss, they had an RGC to discuss policies, to discuss discussion documents, review issues of policy, to assess what needs to be done, where is Sidibeng, what needs to be done in Sidibeng by the ANC, what type of organization to build there. They had an RGC before the conference. They had an RGC 2 weeks ago to look at discussion documents. That's the ANC we know. You don't just arrive at a conference. The only thing you are talking about is the pezana nje. Slates. Who must be elected and who must not be elected. So the comrades in Sidibeng, this morning they started their conference. That's why you have to start a conference. That's why you are here. You have to start, and I am very glad that we are starting the conference now. There are issues, I will conclude. There are issues that are receiving the attention of the national organization, the provincial leadership, and the RTT. The issues of credentials, the issues of disputes, the issues of which branches were disqualified, which ones were qualified, which ones are singing outside and say we must be here, that those issues will be dealt with. They will be dealt with, and they are being dealt with. But I want to remind you that the fundamental issue about the ANC is that the women who are gathered here, women have high expectations because their lives are in misery. The young people who are gathered here, young people have high expectations. Not just young people in the ANC, not just women in the ANC. They want to read in your conference resolutions, Comrade Zwai, they want to read, what did the ANC Ekurhuleni conference say about the issues affecting the youth, about the issues affecting the women, the business people in our townships? They have expectations. Do you want them to give up on the ANC? That all the ANC people do is to just meet and fight and fight and fight until they've finished each other? Is that what you want? So the comrades in Sidibeng, let me tell you, so they had started already today with their discussions. Leadership, we know leadership is important, but leadership elections can't be the be-all and end-all around which the organization must die. If I don't get the people that I want elected, blood must spill on the floor. If I don't get my way, blood, what kind of ANC is that? If we have differences on who must be elected, we can't turn ourselves into enemies. If we have a disagreement on one particular issue, we can't turn this organization into a place of warfare. So these comrades in Sidibeng have something to teach us. You know, Gauteng province used to be a province that was envied by all the provinces in the Republic. When the ANC meets, yes, there will be contestation, and there were many. And I was contested as well. It's not like easy, you just get elected unopposed. When that happens, it's fine. When there's consensus, when there's no consensus, there's democratic vote. Democracy is an internal part of what the ANC is. The fact that we have voted on candidates and disagreed should never lead comrades to enter permanent factions and permanent warfare and hostility and hatred to a point where when you leave home, you go to an ANC conference, your family members are not sure if you will come back. I know that. They are at home now. Your family members are at home. They are not sure if you will come back alive. What kind of ANC is that? That thing is not an ANC. An ANC where you go to a meeting, women get beaten for holding a different view, get assaulted in a BGM for holding a different view, they get forced. They are not just intimidated, but they get beaten in meetings. And a young man gets shot and killed. A young man who left home saying, I'm joining the ANC, I want to contribute to change in South Africa. The family gets told, this young man was killed, it happened in Hammanskraal, in a meeting of the ANC Youth League. A young man gets shot and killed. Which family will allow their members to go to an ANC where we kill each other when we disagree? What type of ANC is that? We may be wearing T-shirts and caps and jackets of the ANC, but when that happens, this thing is not an ANC. I want to assure you, when your family is afraid that you are going to a meeting of the ANC, but you may not come back, that thing is not an ANC. When you yourselves are sitting here, are not sure, when the results are announced, kuzofiwa. You yourselves sitting here are not sure if you are safe in a meeting of the ANC. That thing is not an ANC. It's an aberration. is a fundamental aberration. We must call, when things that are wrong happen, even if I'm the chair of the province, I must say this thing is not an ANC. This thing I'm chairing. When people start killing each other, I must say this thing is not an ANC. When members are preoccupied with factionalism, and when we are in charge of an institution of state, we are preoccupied with looting resources for our own sake, that thing is not an ANC. We must say that there may be a name and a logo there, but that thing is not an ANC. And our people make a decision and start saying that thing is not an ANC. Comrade Low, they point there and say, this thing, so this weekend, comrades, we want you to help us. You come from branches. The branches are the backbone of the ANC. We want you to help us to rebuild the ANC of which South Africans will be proud, in communities, will be proud that this type of ANC will consolidate the gains of our democracy, will address the fundamental questions and challenges that they face every day. Because we have lost local government elections. In November last year, we must call it as it is. Okay, in strategy and tactics terms, we say this is a strategic setback. We say it's a strategic setback. But in Ekurhuleni, we know. We used to run a coalition government here, and it was helpful. It was helpful to deepen change, to address certain things. We are not. Here in Gauteng, in a number of areas in our province, where we used to be in government, the voters stayed away in their large majority. And one of the fundamental questions we must understand why they stayed away is where they look at us and say, this thing is not an ANC. These things that are happening there, if we don't see it, the voters can see it. There are fundamental challenges we must address. So yes, out of the elections, it's not only in 2021 local government elections. You know, there is a trend when our highest peak in electoral support, the highest peak in electoral support was 2004 in national elections. That's the highest peak. Even in provincial elections, national elections, provincial elections, and local government elections, we started coming down. That highest peak of 2004, we started coming down to a point where, you know, in the 2019 elections, we just governing Gauteng by one seat difference. Most of the municipalities in Gauteng, as we speak, are not governed by the ANC. Where we are forced into coalitions. So when we have a conference, let's discuss the real issues. That's what we want you to do, comrades in the Ekurhuleni. What are the fundamental issues that we are facing here in Ekurhuleni? How do we rebuild the organization? How do we rebuild the ANC from grassroots in the regions, across Gauteng, in the province? And how do we contribute to genuine and fundamental renewal of the ANC as a national movement and a national organization? So in that sense, comrades, we must draw inspiration from Oliver Tambo. Oliver Tambo, as we know, President O.R. Tambo served the ANC at the helm of the ANC. He served the ANC at the helm of the ANC between 1960 and 1990. Formally elected as the president of the ANC at Morogoro Conference. When he handed over in his political report at the 48th National Conference, in Durban in 1991, OR gave an extensive report back to the people of our country and to the ANC organization. And in that report, and I always want to say, we must read and reread and reread and reread that report. In that report, he outlined the difficulties that the ANC faced in the period between the 60s and the unbanning of the ANC. He outlined the setbacks we suffered, but he also outlined the advances that we made. And he concluded that the road was always very difficult. The road traversed by the ANC was always very difficult. There were major setbacks, not just between 1960 and 1990, but even in the early days, in the 1930s, the ANC almost disappeared from the face of South Africa. The movement suffered major setbacks, not just in that period. It suffered setbacks and started rebuilding itself in the 1940s with the establishment of the organs of the ANC, the Women's League and the Youth League, but also with the adoption of greater levels of mass mobilization. We know, comrades, that we have major challenges at the moment. And we can draw inspiration from the first fact that this is not for the first time the ANC faces these challenges. We, in our Provincial Executive Committee, outlined the fact that the challenges we are facing now are unique. They are unique because we are on the verge of being completely wiped out of power. They are unique. But the ANC can learn from its own history, draw strength. So the ANC must not only think about its life just about being in power. And, you know, one of the things that attenuates the differences amongst us, one of the things that deepen the disagreements and turn these disagreements into violence is state power. Is this relationship between being elected into a position in the organization and your chances of ending in government. We have to break that chain and be able to say we must elect leaders to serve the ANC, and we must also decide who are the leaders who must be assigned responsibility in government. It shouldn't be automatic. It shouldn't be automatic. If we're looking for a branch secretary we must look for a branch secretary, a comrade who will do the work of a branch secretary. If we are looking for the chair of the branch, we must look for the chair of the branch, somebody who will help the branch in the role of what the role of the chair is. The conflation of state power and leadership elections in the organization blurs our eyes. We can't see properly. When we have to think of you, Comrade Shabalala, we are thinking, angabu mayor uShabalala, or angabu MMC now. We are not thinking, but uShabalala can be a good deputy chair. I know if I use you as Comrade Jongi as an example, you will not be offended. uShabalala can be a good deputy chair. If we are looking for a deputy chair, if we are looking for a secretary, if we are looking for a treasurer, that's what we should be looking at. We must look at the function of the organization, rebuilding our organization, its capacity to provide leadership at all levels, to society in general, and simultaneously raise the quality of the cadreship so that this cadreship can be able to serve society in different places, not only in government, in different places. So, in that sense, comrades, I would like to say to you that this conference of the ANC gathered here is an important conference for us. The ANC has never used the concept. Look at the ANC constitution properly. We don't have the notion called elective conference. Do you know why There's no, in the constitution of the ANC, there's no word called elective conference. Show it to me if you have found it. And tell me when did it find its way into our constitution. The reason there's no elective conference is because elections are not, even a conference that elects people is about electing leadership. Elections are not the most important issue or the only issue on the agenda. The fundamental issues is to clarify our policies, to adopt resolutions, to refine our strategy, to adopt a program of action that is going to require leadership. Yes, a program of action will require leadership. So when we elect, so in this conference of Ekurhuleni, what do we want to emerge with as strategic perspectives, policy perspectives, to take to the provincial conference, to take to the national conference? What are those strategic perspectives that will help push back the frontiers of poverty, the frontiers of unemployment, but also push back the demon of corruption in society and lawlessness and crime that's rife all over our province, if not in many parts of our country. So we need a dynamic organization in that sense. We need a leadership and cadreship committed and grounded in serving communities, even when we are not elected in government, to continue to serve communities and not think that the only way to serve is when you are in government. Because let me tell you, in a democracy, there will be elections, and we must come to terms with the consequences of a democracy. A democracy means every 5 years we will have elections. And there are times when the ANC may be elected based on its track record, and there will be times when the ANC is not elected. Don't kill yourself when you are not in power. And don't kill the people who have won, even if they have won using coalition, coming together, aiding themselves together. If the democratic system allows that they can come, if we end up on the backbenches, we must fight for democratic transformation and service delivery from the backbenches until we are able to put together an alternative government, even if it's a coalition government, like we have done in Ekurhuleni before, we have done in other places. But, comrades, there are comrades who think if we are not in power, there's no need to pursue change anymore. There are comrades who think if the ANC is out of power, there's no need to be in the ANC anymore. In fact, those are the people who must go now. The people who are in the ANC only because the ANC is in power, that's the problem we have right now. We want those who will remain even when the ANC is not in power. We want those who will continue to pursue transformation and change, even when you are not the chair of Gauteng. Even when you are not the chair of Gauteng. It doesn't mean if you are not the chair of Gauteng, you must be in national. Who said we are entitled to positions in national? If you are not elected in the REC and you are not in the BEC, you must be Idela Kufa. You must continue to work for change wherever you are. Who said we are entitled to these positions that if I'm not in the leadership, I'm walking away? That is not an ANC. The ANC where people are only interested when they are in positions is a self-serving ANC. And the masses are not stupid, comrades. The masses can see, but I see on our ANC. You know, you can wear something that does not fit, and it doesn't fit. When people look at the ANC that's not serving them, that's locked up in fights, in internal fights, They say this is not ANC. What do they decide to do? On election day, they decide we are not going to vote for anybody else. We will stay at home. We have been punished. But let me tell you, the PEC came to this conclusion. The people can vote for another party. We must never think that they will not vote for another party. And we mustn't take them for granted. So we have three tasks, comrades, the fundamental tasks that face us immediately from this conference. Firstly, let us raise the level and quality of organization in Ekurhuleni. The level and quality of organization in this region has degenerated. We have never had this level of conflict in an ANC conference in Ekurhuleni. It's like wafa. At the level of degeneration. So, comrades, the second thing we must do, raising the level, Ekurhuleni needs to put on the table fundamental issues of advancing socio-economic transformation, which is deep, which is fundamental. Ekurhuleni needs to raise. We are going to a provincial conference. We are going to a national conference. What are the key 2-3 issues that would have come out of the Ekurhuleni? You don't assess those issues by the level of rhetoric. We must assess them by their relationship with ordinary masses. Are these the things that resonate with people in our townships? These issues is not a question of radical sounding phrases. It's the question of the relevance of these issues to the day-to-day lives of people in our communities. So that's the second issue that we would like Ekurhuleni to look at. The third issue is how do you go back to regain, the coalition in Ekurhuleni is very fragile. The coalition government is very fragile in Ekurhuleni. The only thing that is standing on its way is the deep divisions in the ANC. The deep ructions and divisions in the ANC are standing on the way of that. If that coalition tomorrow collapses, will the ANC be in a position to regain and immediately be able to pursue programs across the city of Ekurhuleni, in the state you are in this conference? And we must be frank with each other. When this conference rises, make us proud. Let me tell you about Sidibeng. Sidibeng has had many, many differences. If you think you have differences and disagreement, all of you know. But those comrades have made us proud. Their conferences is not in the news. You know why it's not in the news? Do you know why your conference is in the news? Do you know why? No, you do. Do you honestly don't know? You honestly don't know why the media is here? Truly? Honestly? You are surprised that they are here? Did you hear any report about Sidibeng? Let me tell you, it's because it's going very well. I'm the only one telling the news of Sidibeng, and I want to see if it will be covered in the media. Sidibeng conference is going very well. They are doing things the ANC way. That conference is doing things the ANC way. They are debating the core fundamental issues of service delivery and development in Sidibeng. They are concerned about the economy of Sidibeng. They are concerned about flowing sewer in Sidibeng. They are concerned about housing and jobs in Sidibeng. That's what that conference is doing. And I don't suggest, but they have just elected, the top 5 unanimously. They have elected the top 5. You heard me say, no, I want to urge you. If you can invest in sorting out the leadership issues so that you can also pay attention to the fundamental issues, This leadership they've just elected the top 5, and they've moved immediately to focus on the politics of Congress. What type of ANC should we have in Sidibe? They are looking at how they want to contribute to building and rebuilding Gauteng, a province of which we know for 20 years in our province we have had solid stability. The Gauteng province was a shining example of it, even in the most difficult times. We used to put at every conference of the ANC sharp-pointed strategic policy and tactical questions. And our conferences, we would not have a conference, you know, all of you. Jongi was saying that I know you by names. You have been to many conferences, all of you. Yes, there will be contestation. But there can be a conference of the ANC that, like these other conferences in provinces, we are just like another province. You know, there's provinces where you know that when there's a conference, there is chaos. But what is happening here has just turned us into another place that shames the ANC, where there's conference and people at home have been watching. I don't know how many of you got phone calls from home. So you must also, to ask you if you are okay. How many of you since yesterday, you got phone calls from home to ask you if you are still okay? Raise your hand, don't be ashamed. Raise your hand, you did, yeah. You see, to ask you, when people watch the news, they are concerned. Emja, usaphila na? What type of ANC is that? This is shameful. And comrades, let us rebuild. The issues of the credentials, the disputes, all those issues are being dealt with by a process. You'll deal. But why should you at an ANC conference spend 3 days discussing credentials? What kind of ANC? We want, and I said to you, you can't be here on Monday. If anyone has budgeted for Monday, you will be alone here, unless if you work here. You can't be here on Monday. Even if there are disputes, there must be a point where those issues are ruled upon and decided so that we can move forward. We must move forward. This conference will sit. You are not going back home without completing your business. And you are not going back home on Monday. Some of you may not be elected, but come back to the ANC and work. Because the ANC needs many hands. Comrades, the ANC needs all of us. The ANC needs all of us to work, not just to be elected in leadership. And any one of us who was given an opportunity to serve, I'm one of them. We must say we are grateful to the ANC structures for electing us up to that point, and we have served. If you give us another chance, it's only because you are satisfied with the work that we have done. So it will be with the national conference. When we go to national, provincial conference, and we will be evaluating the work of our leadership. We want to, the ANC must stabilize itself. We can't be a source of instability in South Africa. ANC internal fights cannot break South Africa.
All right, we're coming out of that briefly. We will take you back, just something that we need to attend to, something that's technical. David Makhura, the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, they're addressing the Ekurhuleni Regional Conference, which has finally gotten underway. Wow, what a searing address by Makhura. They're talking about the conference resembling a war zone in terms of the atmosphere and environment. And I'm told that we are ready to take you back to that address by David Makhura.